A few people have been asking me to make a wish list for the upcoming Season 4 patch of the finals, and I've been thinking it over. I decided I'm not going to touch on meta or balancing, as I've had a few videos discussing this topic. Instead, I want to talk about some other topics that don't always get discussed and may not be particularly common within my channel. So the first thing I'd like to see is better matchmaking. A full tab dedicated to it, with modes in the finals constantly coming and going. Stuff like the Smoking Guns event that we don't even get to play anymore, the Easter event, stuff like this. A lot of people ask to play these older modes. Unfortunately, with the player pace decreasing, it's pretty difficult to have, 10 plus game modes, as some of them are going to have a lower population. So I'd love to see a dedicated community server tab where people can post their own servers, pick their own game modes, even set their own rules. You can have people join off of this community tab, and with your own settings, you could ban weapons. So if you love Power Shift but you hate snipers, you could ban Sniper in Power Shift. Or if certain gadgets you want to see in certain game modes, like Terminal Attack, you want to use the Heal Beam, sure, go ahead and make that server and people will join. This would be akin to stuff like old school Battlefield, which I kind of grew up on. A lot of the Embark team also grew up on this, and I think this would be a pretty healthy solution for them to allow players to play all these different game modes that they've created at the pace that they want to. I think this would also help with some of the balancing, because what is OP in one game mode might not necessarily be strong in the other game mode. So if you could tweak some of the numbers of some of the weapons, or limit how many frag grenades or something people can take, and have a bunch of modifiers so that you can make the game mode you like a lot more balanced, have people come in and have a much better experience. This could help Embark focus their balancing around their core game mode of cash out and let the players control the balancing of the rest of them in their community tab. This could go a long way to helping everyone find a home and meet like-minded players. As for the game show aspect of the finals, the game, I'd love to see this theme explored more. Make the game feel more like a show, adding a halftime show, maybe new events, add even new modifiers like increased headshot damage, and potentially have it connect to viewers on Twitch so that the viewers can control the lobbies that the streamers are in, like being able to vote on which event happens next or what map modifier is the next round. Maybe this might be a little bit too complex, but a man can dream. Next, as a streamer, I would absolutely love a streamer mode. In ranked cash out during Season 2, sometimes people would completely avoid streamers. This was pretty prevalent with certain people, like when I played with gigs, for example. A lot of people would either completely avoid our cash outs, making it really boring. You could end up qualifying, not even getting to really fight the whole time, because people just deemed it too hard to actually face you. The reverse effect also happens sometimes, where players will purposely focus the streamers. I remember experiencing this a lot when I played with Elvin, for example, or even just high elo players, that top 10 ranked players everybody knows. Sometimes they just play a little bit differently because of this. Now, I understand the idea of avoiding people, but this kind of completely changes the way that cash out is intended to be played, and people who avoid names end up just ruining the experience for everybody else in that game. Instead of only having that one team that might fight you over your cash out, you now have the entire lobby on you because they didn't want to fight, the big streamer on the other side of the map. And the truth of the matter is that everybody's able to be killed. There's plenty of times where I've wiped big streamer teams before. There's plenty of times where my team has been wiped by a single person. It's possible, and I think people that get too afraid of it because they just want to qualify end up putting themselves in a much worse position than they really need to be. It's the unfortunate outcome that we get not having a streamer mode, is that basically everybody's experience kind of gets altered or ruined, and cash out just isn't being played the way it is intended to be played. Without names, people will play normally and they'll enjoy the game mode much more. The experience for everyone will improve. Something to spread more love is the ability to buy skins and multi-bucks for friends. I have some friends with absolutely no drip, just god-awful style. They still use default skins. Just let me gift them some amazing skins that the dev team has created. I could also do skin giveaways on stream, and maybe on some videos I could do some multi-buck giveaways. I think it would be awesome for everybody. And with Christmas coming up soon, Embark, please let us give you more money. Something sort of on meta and balancing, but not too much into the topic, don't worry, is I'd like to see medium, heavy, and light all have the same amount of gadgets and weapons. For far too long, light has just had more weapons and more gadgets. It would be nice to even this number out so that every class has an equal amount of options to make their loadout, which is partly why a lot of Season 3 I've just been kind of maining light, because there's just a lot of options and avenues I can go down to make my build feel very unique, and when I want to switch it up, I can play a completely new way, whereas when I feel like playing medium or heavy, it doesn't last too long because I feel very limited in the options that I get because I am. An idea I've had for a while is to add perks to the game, similar to how Call of Duty has had perks, where they're basically just passive benefits you get. This could help add to the sandbox element of the game, and specifically around building a loadout that suits you and caters to your strengths and weaknesses. At the moment, it does feel pretty stale, but a simple perk system can make every player feel a little bit more unique, like having movement on mediums if they're running melee, potentially a flak jacket on light so that you can survive RPGs and mines a little bit better. The concept here has so much room to grow and could really add more variety to the game, and even allow players to counter some of their biggest weaknesses. Clans, clubs, guilds, teams, whatever you want to call them, I think this could help add to the community. We would be able to create our own groups to then socialize with. Maybe it's a terminal attack focused club or a notoriously strong clan, where when you see that clan tag, you should be afraid. Maybe top clans who earn the most collective points in a certain mode throughout a season can get a clan reward, or maybe they can rock their logo on a jersey or whatever it may be. Just something to help build the community of the game, because a game with a good social scene can naturally grow a lot faster. A big wish I have is for you to subscribe to my YouTube and to follow my Twitch. A way to flex a bit more than just the emote spam on dead bodies is to have some upgraded player cards, stuff that shows your rank, more akin to Apex Legends. This way you could show off your achievements, your rank, or even some cool skins that you have. In terms of cosmetics, I'd love to see less AKM skins. The AKM has around like 30 skins available, where stuff like the MGL, CO40, and some other weapons have basically no good options for skins. Sure, they might not be as popular, so maybe Embark makes less money, but they deserve some love too. The sponsors of the game also feel like a huge missed opportunity in my opinion. This can definitely be something they can expand on, allowing players to side with sponsors to earn their favor, maybe to unlock new skins, maybe to have this story and lore in the background that's been going on where players can work with sponsors to help grow the sponsor's notoriety in the universe of the finals and the game show. And depending on which sponsor gets more support by the players, we get map variants, maybe events, skins, or whatever Embark can dream up that are related to said sponsor. This could help with world building and expand the current lore the game already has. In terms of representing certain people or sponsors, I would love to see some weapon charms for specific content creators, or even some weapon skins. Say something like Thixie's box head that he has. Be cool to have that as a headgear. Or maybe Rockhound Black's logo as a weapon charm. You know, or everybody getting a weapon charm. This would be awesome to have on my weapon to support the creators that I love. This could obviously be expanded to even more stuff like gloves, shirts, masks, or whatever. And maybe during Twitch Rivals, if they do any more events, or even any Twitch events in general, this could be a big community event that surrounds the creators, similar to how Rust has been doing it. This could be a great way to help grow the community of the finals. It would also support a lot of the creators and could tie in pretty nicely to having, you know, clans and groups like I had mentioned before. Now I could sit here and list all my favorite weapons and cool melee weapons that I'd like to see added. However, I would like to see the option between iron sights and sights be an option. Similar to Rainbow Six Siege, the FCAR would get an iron sight option. The FAMAS could have a red dot as a choice instead of just the iron sights. Give us, the players, the choice to pick between these sights. And I'm not talking every gun gets like 3 different sights. It might just get 1 or 2, and then you have the iron sight. I would love to use some weapons like the M11, but when its performance is so close to something like the XP54, I have to ask myself, why even use the M11? Because the XP just has better range, a bit more of a clear sight, along with an easier to control recoil. If I got a red dot on the M11, I'd find it worth trying to learn the recoil and master that weapon to have a chance that might be more on par with the power of the XP. It does feel like for all classes, the weapons that have dominated, whether we look at Season 1, 2, or currently Season 3, are things that you don't even really need to ADS, such as the shotguns, or things with scopes like the FCAR and XP, We've also seen a lot of the throwing knives throughout some of the seasons. Even now we have Sledgehammer that's really strong. The visual recoil that the game has on basically every gun makes the game feel very inaccessible for a lot of players, especially newer players who just feel like they have no control over their weapons. Bullets actually go to the center of your screen and not where your gun or your scope is aiming, which leads to a lot more confusion. The scopes help alleviate some of the frustration. However, in some cases like the sniper scope, it can actually create more frustration. I don't want like full-on customization, like I said, being able to put like a 4x ACOG on a 9.3R, but at least one scope or one sight option per weapon would be pretty nice. This could help balance out some weapons, like giving the FCAR a 2x, the AKM a red dot, and the FAMAS a 4x, or whatever we would want to do. This is just an example that would then allow each weapon to play more into their specific range or role, allowing each weapon to have more of an identifying characteristic. When a lot of weapons come out as an iron sight, typically it's just like, well, what has a better stat value? What's going to kill quicker? Okay, we'll just go with that. At least with different sights, we might have that reason. Oh, well, actually, I'm going to bring this because it's a lot better at range and we're playing a map where I need more range. Now, VR points. Yes, the thing that says 3,000 out of 3,000 on your main menu that you have no use for, these could be great to have, again, more uses. I think being able to buy experience for weapons, specializations, and gadgets could be nice, or like buying a 1 hour long 2x multiplier for the experience gained on specific weapons or gadgets or specializations could be really nice. Or being able to buy potentially skin variations, like being able to buy a different color of your favorite skin. Maybe there's a skin that you like the concept of, but the colors don't match your outfit. Well, you can now buy the weapon skin variant or even change the color of the clothing with your VR points. This could prevent the stockpiled 3000 VR that we never have any use for. Now, since launch, I've always noticed the game as a whole has started to slow down a bit. The time to kill and everything has been getting slower, tons of stuff keeps getting nerfed. The duration of certain things like Dome also gets nerfed. Maps feel like they get a little bit bigger each patch, where we get a new map, and it takes a little bit longer to get from fight to fight and traverse the map. I think instead of slowing down the game mode so much, they could add a slower game mode for players who want that. Me personally, I like my cash out to stay a little bit more fast-paced like we had it in Season 1 and early Season 2. I know Embark, being ex-Battlefield devs, could make a banger Battlefield mode. With the destruction they have, this could potentially be done on the current maps, or a new map altogether that might be needed to make a new mode work. But I think a game mode like Rush from Battlefield could work really well with this. It would be a team versus team. It's a game mode the devs know really well, so they can incorporate it well. With the respawn coin system, it can tie in really well with this game mode. If you haven't played Rush, basically it's like search and destroy, but with respawns available, after both objectives are destroyed, you go to the next pair of objectives. This game mode is relatively fast-paced, but can be taken slower and more precise depending on the playstyle of the players. This allows players to play at their own pace, which theoretically can help slow down the gameplay if the player chooses, and at a rate that the player finds reasonable. Where in cash out, it can feel like chaos in third parties for such a long stretch of time, and it doesn't really give you much of a break at some moments, or sometimes it's completely dead. In Rush, you need to coordinate your attacks and play more smart. Unless the player count goes up, then it's just wave after wave of fighting. Battlefield's Rush as a whole is a great example of a game that allows players to take control of their own actions at a pace that they want to. Slow, stealthy flanks, long-range sniping, frontline infantry that just pushes buildings, an objective-oriented player. There are plenty of approaches that can cater to each player the way that they want to play the game, which I think is much healthier if they want to slow down the pace of the game, but not at the cost of everyone feeling forced to slow down. We should find what suits best for each individual player if we want to appease every player. More stats. I'd love to be able to look at my last season and see how I performed. Maybe I did better on light versus the season prior, or that on medium my best weapon is the FAMAS and my worst is the riot shield. Some sort of season base stats and per weapon or gadget stat would be great. I think it would also help players learn what loadouts work best. Maybe they have a high performing loadout that it will show where when they use a specific weapon spec and gadget combination, they win 100% of their games. Stats like this would really help us improve as players, because some players see more value in stuff that just deals damage, but they might learn when they don't bring gas grenade and pyronade or frag, and just bring good utility that helps their team, their win rate skyrockets. I'm hoping to see more stats and values like this, and if I could be able to see this in a public form like a website, so that people can see in this season a certain weapon performed really well across the entire player base, or in high elo, there's a really high win rate with a specific weapon or a specific team composition, whatever it may be, but similar to how we have it for games like League of Legends, and even Deadlock has stats like this, and it's still in testing. And my last wish is for some more communication around their decisions if possible. For example, when they nerf or buff a certain weapon, show us stats or information they use that led them to the decision. They may be correct, but as players we often get confused as to why they buffed or nerfed said weapon or gadget, or even why they don't seem to buff or nerf some stuff like the 9-3R is still one of the worst weapons and seems to get no love, or how the SA-12 seems to be used by almost every high elo heavy but still doesn't get nerfed. Maybe they have stats that show it is in a balanced state, but we can only speculate without the data on these weapons. Thank you to all my members. Comment below what your biggest wish is for Season 4. Send your best wishes to Embark, and I will see you in Season 4.
The overdogs have been released back into the arena.
No.
Oh wait, this one might be hurt.
It's gonna fall in the air though.
The debris.
I got it. I got it. I got it.
Yes! Yes, Trace. Yes. That was such a good play.
Get our money!